host, Grayson Brulte. Welcome to another episode of SAE Tomorrow Today, a show about emerging technology and trends in mobility with leaders and innovators who make it all happen. On today's episode, we're absolutely honored to be joined by Megan Hahn, Head of Operations, Tinker. On today's episode, we'll discover how Tinker delivers telehealth for your car, giving drivers live expert support to diagnose and repair their vehicles. We hope you enjoy this episode. Megan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Very happy to be here this morning. Appreciate it.
It's great to have you here. I'll say this, researching Tinker and looking into it, to me, you eliminate friction, you make things easier. But to the audience, that's just my simple terms. What is Tinker? How would you describe it?
Yeah, great place to start. So I would say the easiest way to describe Tinker is we are like a teledoc for automotive repairs and automotive concerns. So in its simplest form, we connect auto DIYers, people who need to do anything themselves for any particular reason, with an experienced mechanic instantly through video chat. So as we started to roll out this product and people were using it, we found that we needed to complete the full cycle, right? So we wanted to be there to support anybody in their automotive repair needs, whatever that means for them. We wanted to help keep them on their road, and we needed to meet everyone where they're at. And so to begin with, we were an app that connected auto DIYers with auto experts to do their self-repairs. And then we found that there was a rideshare opportunity to help rideshare drivers get back on the road faster by doing their inspections. And we're still continuing to iterate to build that full life cycle so that everyone can complete everything they're hoping to accomplish while on the call.
That's smart. So we all know somebody like that. Me. You say, "Oh, I could fix something. I don't need to read the directions. Oh, don't worry about that." And then you run into this, "Oh, you know what" moment, which are a lot of us people like I'm the DIYers like, "Oh, I need to be bailed out now." Do you get a lot of individuals calling and that? Because I like the term teledoc for auto. I call it tele auto bailout. Oh, help me get out of this. Do you get a lot of that?
Yes. So we do get the very new to this, like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. We had somebody with jumper cables trying to restart their battery, and they're like, I don't trust myself to put these on. Do you promise these are going in the right spot? And they're saying, yes, you've got this. I'm here for you. And then there's this person who's like, I took my entire engine out and this one piece will not get out. And I am frustrated. What is happening? Like, how do I fix this? And so we get the early first attempters and everyone who is more senior in their DIY experience who just gets like truly frustrated and stuck. And they're just like, help me right now.
So when you connect the DIYers, let's call them the professionals, the individuals that, unlike me, understand what's going on, how do you find those individuals? And then for cars, there's a large variety of cars. You have your more modern electronic software-based cars, and then you have your more classic muscle cars. How do you find individuals that span this, if you want to call it, this whole life cycle of vehicles?
Yeah, that's a great question. So to start, this is gig work for the automotive industry, which is a new opportunity that doesn't really exist today. Get to use your knowledge without having to use your hands or your body. It extends your ability to work, which is fantastic. And so we put out advertisements with requirements that we felt would bring the right kind of quality to the platform, which is a minimum expectation on experience, ASE certified. And then we also vetted them extensively for their customer service skills, right? It's not very intuitive. We are also training these members up on best practices on customer support. And so from there, what we did is once we felt like we had the right experience in place, we made sure we had the right coverage for all the different makes and models of cars. And so we have a very extensive list of professionals, if you will, supporting our platform. And of course, there are some very unique or rare cars that might not be serviced on our platform, but we have yet to find something that isn't serviceable on our platform, including a guy who called in about a boat, which I think I mentioned before, and they were actually able to help him. They're like, well, this is for cars, but an engine's an engine, so let's chat. And they were able to actually fix that issue.
The individuals, ASE certified individuals that are on your platform, if you want, I'm going to go technical, you're building out the data set or the expertise data set, say, okay, this individual is really good with cars from 60s and 70s. This individual is good from the 80s and the 90s. You start getting into more components, more electronics, and this individual is good in the software. Do you kind of assign them, okay, this individual is good for this based on their references or based on their knowledge base, or how do you do that?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So we do a background check to confirm the experience that they said they have. And then we allow them to say on the app which makes and models they're most comfortable with and which issue types they're most comfortable with. So when you go in as let's call you an auto DIYer, when you need support, you put in the make and model and the problem that you feel you are facing. And then we match you using our algorithm based on that information. And then our support team vets every call for quality to confirm that you are who you say you are. The experience is what we expect the experience to be. And it's really just, it builds trust fast, which is what you need with a new product, right? You need to be honest in what you're delivering. And so it's really important to us that the quality is there, that the honesty is there. And yeah.
No, because with the honesty, then you start to build trust. If you look at the Thumbtack for DIY stuff around hanging paintings, and that's done really well because, oh, the person's coming in my house. Okay, this worked really well. And then it expands from there. And then when you do the work, since it's an automobile, and one of the biggest issues with automobiles are warranties. Does the work stay within the warranty? Do you guarantee the work from the tinker side, or how does that work and how does that look?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's interesting that you use the word warranty because most of the people who are using our app today are out of warranty on their vehicles and they're no longer being serviced at a dealership. So there was this lack of trust of, am I getting charged what is a fair price? Is this something I could do myself? There may be a financial limitation. There may be this confidence in what you're able to do. And so going into this app, the minimum commitment is we will help guide you towards the solution. Now, if you're new at what you're doing, you may not have the tools you need to fix the problem right away, right? So there may be this world in which you need to come back again to complete that project. And then there is the more experienced ones who know it's going to be a multi-level project. And so they'll get a subscription package and they'll call multiple times to fix it. But at a minimum, we're committed to helping you troubleshoot and get to the correct steps to be able to fix your problem. Now, of course, as a new user, you could come in, tell the expert, this is what I think my issue is. And they can say very confidently based on what you told them, oh, it sounds like this, go ahead and fix this. And there are instances where they'll come back to support and they'll say, hey, this wasn't the right issue. Can I get support on fixing this? And we're always happy to work with customers on making sure that they feel they're getting the solution that they deserve and need.
That's fascinating. So the subscription is interesting. So let's just use air conditioning, for instance. So say the individual pays for the one thing, and then they say, oh, well, I have to go to the store and buy this part and this coolant. And then could they go into subscription, and then they can call back to the DIY and say, okay, this is how you put the coolant in, and this is how you maybe fix the pipe. And they can walk away with that. Is that an example perhaps of how a subscription might work?
Not quite. It's close. So I think it would be helpful to explain the package types that we offer. So we have the quick fix, which is the 20-minute call where I'm just exploring. I want to validate that what I'm doing is true, or I know I'm going to need parts. Let's just have a conversation about it. Then we have a deep dive call, which is a 45-minute call where you can really get into it. You can build on the phone. You can fix on the phone. The technician is right over your shoulder, watching you every step of the way, guiding you. And so we have subscriptions built on both of those. So typically, we find that subscription holders will do the deep dive packages, right? So for one example, this guy was fresh out of college and he wanted to rebuild his own car. And so he knew that he was going to need multiple interfaces with and engagements with our technicians. And so he bought this package, and every time he was ready, he would call. And he has the option to either reconnect with the expert he was working with before or just use somebody else on our platform. And he used both experiences. When he was ready to go, was that technician that he's used to online? No. I know all my information is saved on Tinker in terms of what my project was going, those notes in there to help catch that expert up quickly. And so I'm comfortable moving forward with somebody different. Whereas those quick fixes are typically the subscription packs there, again, are those users who are either new to the project and are constantly just sanity checking themselves, or similar to those experienced ones where I know I don't need too much of your time, but I know I'm going to need your help a little bit each step of the way. Does that make sense?
No, it's great because to me it says go at your own pace. You're not pressuring somebody. Hey, you've got you've got 2 hours to get this done. And it's a go at your pace thing. And the other thing that really resonates with me, like you're talking to me, is this, I guess, is a massive cost savings. Because if you look at vehicle warranties when you're out of warranty, I've experienced it. Boy, oh boy, it's magic. It's a magical world how zeros start appearing on the estimate. Oh, wow. Oh, and then, don't worry, we can sell you an additional warranty. Same common denominator. Zeros appear. With that in mind, are you getting pushbacks from dealers or shops that you're empowering individuals to save, to one, to learn, but to two, to save money?
So I think we're in an interesting space where the dealers know that these customers have lapsed out of their business post-warranty, right? So I think there's an openness to engage because it's access to a user base that they know they don't have access to currently. So I think what we're doing is when they're on the call, they're saving money, right? They're attempting to save money by doing things themselves. We've had people call us just to confirm an estimate that they received from a repair shop before they allowed the repairs. So we are building trust very quickly within this community. And we know this community is very price sensitive. And so it's what can we do to keep things affordable and keep you going on the road. And so that's exactly why we introduced rideshare. How do we make this faster? You literally can do your rideshare inspection while waiting for your next pickup. It's so quick. And then we're also exploring new avenues, which is now that we know that we are a trusted resource when the users do use us and how quickly we are building trust, there are times when you will need parts. How do we get you discounts on parts? How do we get you trusted support in your area in the event that you cannot, for some reason, do this repair yourself?
I want to get to rideshare, but before we get to rideshare, you said verify estimates. I can't tell you back in the day when I had a jalopy, you're calling, okay, so we got to call you my uncle. And then you call my friend, oh yeah, talk to my, my brother. And then and you're playing telephone tag with everybody in your family and friends to try and say, am I being hosed or taken advantage of? And you look at your business, is that one of the fastest growing elements for people they want to, if we're going to call it price check, a truth check? Is that a fast growing part of the business?
I would say it's not the biggest part of the business. I would say rideshare is our fastest growing piece of the business. And then I would say that people actually use us for more complex issue fixing, which has been really interesting and unique. And to your point, a little bit different than we initially thought when we first started this project. To your point about having to call everyone, the experts on our platform love this because they're saying, I give this advice every day, so many times a day for free, and now I get to charge for it.
Yeah, no, they're happy. Have you seen any patterns in the data of the most common things that individuals are calling? You mentioned complex, but is there, outside of complex or inside of complex, is there a segment? Is it engines? What is it?
Yes. So there's a few buckets. Without getting too in the weeds of the data, it's transmission issues are really big, engine issues are another one. But then we see this other bulk subset of customers where it's like battery and leak issues within there. So it's like the newer novice ones are, there's white smoke coming off my car. Am I safe to start? Stop my car. Will it not work anymore? My battery's not starting. I'm afraid to jump it. But then there's that other side, right? Which is, I want to fix this car. I need to fix this car. This is the major issue that I'm facing. They typically have the OBD scanners. They know which codes they need to fix. And so it's a little more complex and nuanced in there.
If I was on your platform, which I'm not, smoke coming my car, run, head for the hills, call the fire department. That's what I would say. But I'm not an inspector, but that's what I would do. Let's shift gears here to rideshare. Rideshare is fascinating industry. It's a growing industry, despite the headlines, and I won't name headlines. You and I both know there's data to back us up. It is a growing industry. It is a complex industry. How do you do the inspections? Because that plays a big role. In the old days, I knew individuals that are in the rideshare business. You had to drive somewhere and go through this whole thing. And then Tinker comes along and says, oh, wait a second. We got a tool for that. We can save you time and save you money. How does that work?
Yes, that's a great question. So they still can drive somewhere and get their inspection done today. We know that time is money. Literally, they make their money using their vehicles. So the amount of time they need to be off-road for any reason is money lost. And so we looked at the inspection form and we ran it by a few of our experts on the platform. And we asked them, can this safely be done through a video chat? And so they really took their time with it and they said, yes, this is doable. These are the parameters we would set up. This is how we would assess this. And so we allotted what we assumed would be 45 minutes to go through this inspection. And we found that because the rideshare drivers are so well versed in their vehicles and the experts are doing these routine checks, if you will, on their car, that these inspections are actually happening in roughly on average 10 minutes. So we are getting them back on the road in 10 minutes. We send them a digital copy. Most of them require a photo of the form uploaded. So then they just screenshot a photo and they upload it and then they're done. So I would say at most, the longest, it would probably be a 15-minute process from start to finish.
What goes into a rideshare inspection? How were you able to go from what you allocated, the 45 minutes, to let's talk 15 minutes? How were you able to do that and what goes into it?
Yes, so it depends on each state. So there's either a 19 or 22 point inspection. There are some states that have a little bit of a longer inspection, but they're just making sure that the car is in working condition, that there's enough tread on the tires, that the brakes are healthy, that you have AC and heating, that you can roll up and down the windows, lock the doors, unlock the doors. So basic safety features and comfort features, they're just verifying work.
When you do that, so let's use tire treads, for example. So does the individual, let's say the rideshare, do they have to put a ruler there and then put the video up so they can see the number on the ruler for the tire treads? I ask that because you can get clever with a camera angle and, oh, yes, look at this.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really great question. So before the rideshare driver starts, we give them a list of everything they'll need to be able to successfully complete the inspection. And one of those things is a penny. And so we test tire tread with a penny. The experts told us that that is actually the easiest way for them to assess the actual tread on the tire.
Okay, so you're giving them the tools they need to succeed. So you're a rideshare driver, you're doing the inspection, you have state regulations, you have insurance requirements, and then you have the platform. So the two largest platforms in the United States, we'll keep this conversation based in the US, Uber and Lyft. Do you as Tinker have to be certified by Uber and Lyft where you upload that data to them, or how does that relationship work between the Tinker and the rideshare platforms?
That's a great question. So obviously our goal throughout all of this, if I've impressed upon you anything, is to make the driver's life as easy as possible. And so what we've done is we've been careful to assess, does Uber, does Lyft accept virtual inspections in each state? And we are only available in the states that do accept virtual inspections. And so while we're not directly partnering with them yet, we know confidently through testing of the form submission, of course, that they will accept these forms. And so what we did is we just have the forms per state. We make sure that they're fully in compliance, and then we make it a virtual download for the DIYer so that they can upload that form themselves, because that's something they do. It's part of their registration process.
Oh, wow. So just for clarification, I think I understand, just for clarification purposes. So when they go through the virtual inspection, that's just called the state regulatory agency. That doesn't go to Uber and Lyft. That goes to the regulatory agency.
No, it goes to Uber and Lyft. It's just their own system check. So it's just, but when you're on the Uber or Lyft platform as a rideshare driver, they're saying, oh, your inspection's due, or you have to complete a auto inspection before you can drive for us. And so this form that they've created and generated for their state is what they're using to upload. Does that make sense?
Well, that makes a ton of sense. So I want to say this, I want to break down inspections more because, sorry, we've all had it. We've been in dirty rideshare vehicles, and you submit a thing and you get from the rideshare company, why was it dirty? And you explain that there was garbage and all that. Is that a way that you could potentially expand those inspections where you can just put the camera to look, rideshare platform, vehicle's clean? And then the other one that I think about, because this has been well documented, is when an individual pukes in a vehicle. Does that get documented? Because to me, it just seems like there's a lot more data that could be gathered outside just your traditional rideshare inspections that could grow the business.
Yeah, I think that's a great point and definitely an area of growth and opportunity. And I think that rideshare inspections at a minimum as they stand today, which is, does this car pass the minimum requirements to drive on the road for one of the two major companies, yes or no, is the first entry point for us. But we've already found that there's other inspection opportunities with other potential partners who do look at things a little more granular. And so we have this MVP product where in the app, we take all of the questions that Uber or Lyft require for that state, and it's on the screen for the expert with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And so it's a very adaptable product, if you will. We can modify it based on different use cases. And so it's really helping us to expand with potential partners.
It's fascinating. So that goes back to you're on the one side of your business, you're helping to save money, make it easier. On the other side of the business, you're really looking at to grow and you're eliminating friction there. So you have the two large platforms for moving humans. Then on the other side of that, you have the platforms that move food, move goods, and those platforms are growing. I'm amazed at everything I get delivered in an hour now outside of Amazon. It's pretty amazing. And those, as you know, are bought by part-time ride drivers. You speak to these individuals. Oh, I used to drive for Uber and Lyft, and now I'm also doing DoorDash, and I'm doing Uber Eats, and I'm doing Postmates, and we go down the list. Do those require inspections? Because they're not moving humans, but they're moving cargo. Do those still require virtual inspections for those drivers?
I believe it varies by company, but I think what we've found is that a lot of opportunity is coming from fleet owners. So there are companies that are based around renting out their vehicles to support these gig workers and drivers. And so they have their own inspection requirements. We also had an interesting conversation with vehicle inspection for the medical field. Is this sound enough to transport precious cargo? And so as you can imagine, cleanliness is a larger factor in those situations. And so I would say for the most part, every car that's on the road in that capacity requires some sort of baseline inspection.
Medical is a growing business. I'll point to an SEC filing here. If you look at Blade's SEC filings, the only profitable part of their business is medical transport. That's what's keeping them alive. And that's in an SEC filing. So I'll put that out there. When you work with fleet owners, so there's some fleet owners that I know some personally, they have 10 vehicles, and then there's larger documented dozens to eventually hundreds. Can they come to Tinker and say, okay, so here is let's call it the regulatory requirements. Here's the platform requirements. Oh, by the way, I own the asset. Here's my requirements. Can you build a custom program for them for these type of inspections or things that they might like to see as part of their operations?
Absolutely, yes. I think that the app itself is almost SaaS, right? And in the sense that it is customizable now that the base level is there. What requirements do you have? And it'll fit into our thumbs up, thumbs down model that'll then put itself onto the form in the end.
The automotive industry, so you have fleets and you have hybrid fleets. There's some of them running internal combustion engines. They're running hybrids. They're running electric vehicles. So completely different architectures. And you go into the app, do you just say, okay, electric vehicle, hybrid vehicle, internal combustion vehicle, or how does that work since there are three main propulsions on the road today?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So when it comes to our business as usual product, our original idea, which is do it yourself, fix it, we actually do not support EV systems from a repair standpoint beyond the normal, just like inside tech, because it's just such a dangerous and risky thing to do. And I'll just leave that one there. But when it comes to rideshare, it doesn't actually matter what kind of car it is. Typically, it is type agnostic, and the things they're looking for are universal truths to any car.
And so you're gathering a lot of data. You're interacting with a lot of individuals. On one side, you have the DIYers, then you have the rideshare drivers, And then you have the professionals with the ASC certifications that understand vehicles. So you're gathering a lot of data, but you're gathering also a lot of feedback because these individuals understand their product. How are you taking that feedback to enhance the product and look for potential new opportunities as the company grows?
So again, it's if we didn't solve your issue on the phone immediately, what did you need that you couldn't get out of this conversation? And so we found that a lot of people need parts in order to, or tools to be able to service their vehicles. So we're exploring affiliate links with partners who could provide discounted rates on tools or tool rentals. Additionally, there are some people who call and they say, hey, I don't trust myself, but I now trust you. Can I just take my car to your shop? And we intentionally don't really map people very close together because we wanted to show the community this is all about just providing you with an honest assessment of what you need. It's not us trying to upsell you and get you into the garage. But it's something that's being asked for. And so it's finding those partners that we can vet and trust. So in the event that the user does need to take their car into a specific location, we have trusted partners for them to work with.
That's awesome. So can you call them quote unquote Tinker certified partners? Is that how you're doing that?
Yeah, I think that would be a good way to put it. Tinker verified for now.
I like that. And then I'm going to go back to Bob Vila here because some people want to be Bob Vila me. And okay, so but I don't have the tools, I don't have the parts. Could you see where you have a partner service since you have a large contingent of rideshare drivers? We have those relationships where the tools get delivered, the parts get delivered to that individual, and they call your DIY, they call the DIY professional, helps them do it, and say, oh, okay, I'm done. And the parts then go back. Is that eventually happening, or is it happening today?
Not happening today, but I would say nothing is off the table. I will say that there is a good percentage of our expert pool who are mobile mechanics. And so there is a potential segue within that segment of experts for us to make that happen.
So then that raises the question, a lot of individuals have a lot of ideas, and some people are afraid to try something. What do you think are the biggest barriers preventing people from attempting the DIY auto repairs? Is it a fear of the unknown? Is it, I might break something? What do you think those that might be preventing people from actually going 2 feet in and trying?
I've seen two different cases. One, it's the fear of breaking it, right? I have to do this myself, but if I break it, then I potentially need to spend so much more money to fix what I've done. And then there's a little bit of pride, right? In those more experienced auto enthusiasts, I have my network. I could do this myself. If I can't do it, there's a YouTube video out there for me. And now it turns out they've kind of exhausted that network and they need to make that first call. And that level of pride and setting that aside to make a new friend and partner that you can rely on it can be tough sometimes.
Do you think it comes down to social relationships where a friend says, hey, I tried Tinker. This was great. You have no idea how easy this was. And then, I'm okay. Let me try it. Do you think it just comes down to just your local social network?
I think word of mouth is everything, right? And everybody would love to have that organic growth. I think right now we're still so early that it's up to us to build our own trust out there, to show everyone this is very clearly, this is what Tinker is, and sort of this is what Tinker is not, right? And it's just establishing ourselves out there in the community. And I do believe that people who use our product are spreading the news about us. It's just continuing to build that reputation for ourselves as well right now.
But I'll give you a lot of credit because you're properly setting expectations, because trust is a two-way street. And you have to set the expectations of what you can do, and most importantly, what you can't do, which raises the question, what is the future of Tinker?
Tinker started with the idea of making this information accessible to everyone and making DIY repairs accessible to everyone. And we stand true to that. And so with that in mind, what we want to do is continue to make everything as accessible and easy as possible for each user. And we want it to be an enjoyable experience. So what I've touched on throughout this is very much how do we make sure you're able to complete your project in full? And so it's that whole life cycle of I have an issue, I call to identify the issue. I can go where I need to get the parts at an affordable price or work with somebody that I trust to get this fixed. And then I get back on the road. And then if I unfortunately run into an issue again, we can go through this cycle one more time. But I don't think that this has to stay within the automotive industry, right? I think that this is a model that we're building very strategically in one area because we want to get it right. We want to make sure we fully understand our user bases on both ends, right? The professionals and the hobbyists are the DIYers. And then we want to make sure we understand what we're building, why we're building it, and make sure we never lose sight of those core values before expanding. But sky's the limit, really.
Sky's the limit. I like that you're staying disciplined for now, but we haven't touched on this. You're giving an individual an education. They're learning a skill. They're learning something new because they're working with the ASCE certified individuals, and they're not having to go in debt, and they're learning a new skill, and they're saving money because then perhaps they can go on to spawn something to build a new career on that. And so I think you're really doing a lot of really great empowerment work behind the scenes. Megan, this has been an insightful conversation. I've learned a ton. I want to be a DIYer and I want to try it, and I have no fear. What the heck? I'll try it. As long as no white smoke comes out, we're okay.
Okay, but white smoke is usually an oil leak. So I know that now through this platform, most commonly.
The education.
Yeah.
See, Megan taught me that. That's my takeaway. White smoke is not necessarily bad smoke. It's an oil issue. That's my takeaway for the audience. Megan, what would you like them to take away from this insightful conversation?
If you have any vehicle concerns, if you're new to the project, you just want to try something new, you're stuck on a problem, you're a rideshare driver who wants to make their inspections as easy as possible, give us a try. We're here for you. We're here to support you. We want to see more people empowered to take on their own repairs, to take on any facet of their vehicle modifications that they would like to see. And really, if you run into any issues, if you try the product and you're like, well, I have feedback, comments on that, my team actually runs the support channel. You can find us at support@tinkerdiy.com. I will take any and all feedback and help guide you through that positive experience.
Try Tinker, share your feedback. It might change the way you repair your car. Today is tomorrow. Tomorrow is today. The future is Tinker. Megan, thank you so much for coming on SAE Tomorrow Today.
Thank you. I had a great time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to SAE Tomorrow Today. If you've enjoyed this episode and would like to hear more, please kindly rate, review, and let us know what topics you'd like for us to explore next.
SAE International makes no representations as to the accuracy of the information presented in this podcast. The information and opinions are for general information only. SAE International does not endorse, approve, recommend, or certify any information, product, process, service, or organization presented or mentioned in this podcast.